The 2015 Telstra Victorian Businesswoman of the Year winner is Cyan from Envato.
Okay, I'm really going to try and hold it together. I'm incredibly humbled and really honoured, so thank you. For me, the greatest thing about this whole experience has been meeting the other finalists. Sometimes you look at the problems we face in the world and it's really easy to feel a little powerless. But once you meet these women, you'll realise that we're surrounded by incredible people doing everything they can to make this world a better place. Whether it be within a business or a not-for-profit, these women are out there making things better for their communities on a really holistic level. 3 years ago, I came across an organisation in Canada that were doing wonderful work in their community. They filled shoeboxes with skincare and cosmetics for women in domestic violence crisis over Christmas. What I loved about the idea was that it gave women a way to nurture other women in a very immediate way. I knew very little about domestic violence as an issue, but I thought it might be a nice thing to do within our team, who numbered around 100 people at that time. So I wrote to a few domestic violence prevention organisations in Victoria to find out if there was any need for something like this. And one of these organisations sent my phone number straight out to accommodation managers across the state. So I spent the next 3 days getting calls from crisis workers. They told me that Christmas was one of their busiest times and that women often arrived with just the clothes on their back. Mothers would work so hard to make Christmas special for their children, but it was a harrowing time for them with very little to keep them going. At the end of every call, I promised that I'd get boxes out, and by the end of the 3 days, I realised I'd need over 500 boxes. I was 7 months pregnant with my second baby at the time, and he was due on December 17th, so this was a pretty crazy plan. But luckily for me, I sat next to 4 incredible women at work who got behind the idea immediately. And off we went. We called it New Day Box, and with a lot of support from the community, we delivered 3,000 boxes that first year. So the reason I tell you this story, aside from wanting you to make a box, because I do, is that I wasn't the best person for the job. I didn't know anything about domestic violence, and I didn't have any experience running something like that. There are plenty of people who would have done a better job. But we saw the need, we decided to try, and we figured it out. The early days of Envato and my graphic design company before Envato were exactly the same. I'm not particularly special. I don't possess some secret and magic skill set. And I'll wager that none of the other finalists this evening do either. They're smart, capable, absolutely amazing women, but not made up of some magic stuff that the rest of us don't possess. Except Alicia Stevenson. I think she might be magic. I'll ask her more about that later. What I think they all have in common is that they all decided to try. For a long time, I waited to do things that scared me until I was more confident or until I'd figured everything out. And if I've learned anything over the last few years, it's that every truly inspirational person just decides to try. They don't let fear or failure stop them. They're just normal people who try, fail, pick themselves back up and keep right on trying. And that leads to safe futures, and it leads to read stock feeds, and it leads to Women's Property initiatives, and it leads to the Tenkal Conservation Alliance. And I can tell you that there are plenty of women out there doing amazing things who aren't getting the accolades or the recognition, and they're still doing it because it's what gets them out of bed in the morning. It's their passion and their mission, and it's what makes them tick. And if you don't have that right now, go out and get it. You can do it, and I wish that for each and every one of you. Thank you again for this incredible honour.